Good morning, everybody. This is Eureka John with Eureka Street Crypto Hub, broadcasting live from Leander, Texas on Theta TV. It is 7:18 in the morning on June 27th, 2021. And the month is getting close to coming to an end. And I'm broadcasting a little later. It's Sunday. I slept in today. I was super tired. Got a little beat up at the skate park yesterday and smashed my elbow. And as you can see, my little girl's trying to take care of me with a million band-aids. And just doing the deal on a Sunday, and on a Saturday. Anyway, let's take a quick look over here at CoinGecko. Oh, by the way, this is my video blog. This is not some kind of professional broadcast or anything like that. I just do this daily, and I've been doing this daily since February 6th, 2021, and I've been broadcasting on this channel since October 24th, 2020. So, this is me tracking the progress of everything I'm learning about cryptocurrency, and you're watching it. So, I might be wrong or I might be right about something, and I might change my opinion based upon me learning something else, and that's how it goes, right? Anyway, so let's take a look over here at the CoinGecko and see what we have going here. Let me refresh this page, and yesterday and the day before were pretty bloody, so looks like I see a bunch of green here today, so that's good. I didn't know if I could get any bloodier than the past couple days, but yeah, it's all right. I'm in it for the long run. I'm in it for the long game. I'm here to stay. I pulled up a chair and this is it. Even sitting here in my underwear this morning, I just rolled straight out of bed and just, came on down here to hurry up and beat the kids. Not beat the kids, but beat the kids before they got awake. So they would, because they're going to want me to make them breakfast. On the weekends, I make breakfast for the kids. It's kind of a deal me and my wife have. And, I gotta hurry up and get this done so I can make them breakfast. What's up, Bantanic? How you doing? Nice to see you. I didn't know if this thing was actually streaming, so it's good to see you jump on and say hello, so I can see if it's actually working. So anyway, so Bitcoin is at 33,297.10, and no problem about the crate yesterday. I thought I signed off, but I went ahead and gave crates. So yeah, I'm running out of things on here to give. They used to just give us a bunch of stuff to give out to streamers, and not so much anymore. Anyway, so Bitcoin is at 33,297.10. Ethereum is at 1,850.36. Tether $1. Binance Coin down to 280.53. If you want to buy some Binance, now's a really good time to do it. I wonder if Binance is suffering because of all the mining being shut off in China. I mean, I know Binance is run by Chinese people, but I think it's based in Malta or something like that. Hey, good morning, Randy. And so I wonder if that's part of why, besides the overall market circumstances, if that's why Binance might be going down too, because of the whole Chinese ban on Bitcoin. And I know they're always banning Bitcoin. China has been banning Bitcoin since the beginning. But this time they're actually really enforcing it. So anyway, Cardano, $1.26, the Doge, 24 cents, XRP, 61 cents, USDC dollar, Polkadot, 14.45, Bitcoin Cash, 457.19, Litecoin, 127.69, Uniswap, 16.12, Solana, $30.60, Chainlink, 17.07, and Polygon, $1.07, Theta Network, 6.51. It's a really good time to buy. Like I said the other day, I locked up some Ethereum on Aave, and I pulled out some DAI, and I bought some Theta. I bought some T-Fuel. I locked some up on Bancor, and I locked up some DAI on Bancor well, I swapped some of that DAI over for Bancor token, and I locked all that up on Bancor. And so my Bancor accounts have been doing very well. I've been getting lots of interest on that. So I would highly recommend Bancor if you want to do liquidity pools, because it's single-sided liquidity and you don't really have to worry about the impermanent loss aspect of liquidity pools, because that's one thing that scared me about liquidity pools was the impermanent loss. And I was just like, ugh, because it kind of happened to me pretty badly on the Ocean marketplace when that first came out, and I was all excited because I like Ocean protocol, and I put some money in one of those random markets and pretty much lost quite a bit of Ocean tokens because of that. So I was just like, I'm not doing this liquidity pool thing again, and then I found Bancor, and I studied into the mechanics of it, and yeah, it's a single-sided liquidity, so you're not going to lose that. You have to keep it in there for a little while. I think it's 100 days to get the complete guarantee against impermanent loss. But aside from that, it's been a good deal, and the APY is really good, and they're giving you bonus BNT token APY right now until July 13th. It's kind of a promotion, I guess. So yeah. Anyway, so let's move on. Today I was reading an article last night while I was in bed, and basically just like moaning and groaning because I got pounded at the skate park yesterday. I'm 45 years old. My wife tells me sometimes I just need to just hang up the hat on that skateboarding, but I've been doing it since I was 8, and I haven't stopped, so I'm not gonna stop it now. But anyway, let's see here. Robert Breedlove put out, hey, video tuber. He put out a good article, and he put out an article about Bitcoin maximalism, and he is a Bitcoin maximalist. He's kind of a poster boy for Bitcoin maximalism traditionally. Bitcoin maximalism is it's something since I got into crypto that has just irritated me, honestly. I see cryptocurrency, a lot of the projects happening when you kind of, scoot out a lot of the obvious Ponzi schemes in here. And there's a few thousand different cryptocurrencies, and you have some things like the Pi token and stuff like that are obvious Ponzi schemes. And you see those all over, Twitter, and they're just, no matter what you're tweeting on, they jump on your tweet with, oh, but wouldn't it be better with, X token, I'm not going to, I already mentioned one name, but I'm not going to mention any more names, but you know who they are, the people that are constantly jumping on your completely unrelated feed with their token, trying to shill you their token to increase their network, and, yeah, and their token depends on that. So yeah. But anyway, Bitcoin maximalism is one that has been just pretty annoying to me because they immediately cut you off with "have fun staying poor." If you try to explain the merits or the philosophy or the economics behind any other token that doesn't begin with BIT and end with COIN. And it's just this intolerance like that in anything in life that really just really grinds my gears, It just, I'm a very tolerant person, I'm open to a lot of different ideas and a lot of people. I wouldn't consider myself left politically, but that's a whole different idea. That's kind of like intolerant tolerance. But either way, I just, I'm kind of libertarian in the fact that I don't care what you do. It's your business, just don't force it on somebody else. And Robert Breedlove finally got to a tipping point whenever he posted a tweet about BitClout. And BitClout is a social media, it's an attempt, I guess, at decentralized social media. I'm on BitClout, it's okay, and they use Bitcoin as their base, and your social media identity is based upon the value that others buy basically your token. So when you first jump into BitClout here, let me go to BitClout here, bitclout.com. when you get signed up, your value is the value of your token. And I have a BitClout account. Let me see if I can just log in real quickly. If not, I'm not going to. I don't feel like digging out my seed phrase. But either way, your value, you get an airdrop of BitClout when you first sign up. And so that's your token value. And you start posting, and then people, if they think your posting is worthwhile, they will buy your token. And it will increase your token price and stuff like that. And it's a lot of people use this as kind of a business model in order to build their identity. And then other people have kind of made it kind of like a social credit score almost. It's kind of ominous, so it's interesting. Anyway, a lot of these famous people, they already have their BitClout accounts set up for them, and then so all they have to do is go claim their account. And Robert Breedlove had one, and he went. He's like his account was worth like $60,000. So here, I first heard about BitClout back in April 2021 while visiting ATX. And I was told it was a shitcoin project, that the market cap of my stolen identity was approximately 60K. I mean, stolen in quotes, because for famous people, they already have accounts kind of just set up because people, I'm not exactly sure of the mechanics, but it was explained to me that it was essentially an airdrop to my Twitter profile and that it could be sold in OTC markets. The prospect of free money from an airdrop was attractive, so I made a note to myself to look into it later. Several weeks later, when I was almost ready to start doing my homework, I put out the following. And I remember seeing this tweet. Would love to hear what the free market thinks about BitClout. I'll be taking a look at it over the next week, the first non-Bitcoin project I've looked at in a while. And then he showed the link reserved for him. He says his intention was twofold: to see what, if any, impact a market cap had a tweet would have, and to obtain recommended resources from others to learn more about the project. I was immediately attacked by most Bitcoiners accused of shilling BitClout or being paid to promote it. At this point, I had done zero research on BitClout, and to my surprise, the community erupted in anger in response to my open inquiry and left many heinous comments like this: the plebes over here, Robert Breedlove shite coining. So yeah, I mean, it's just funny. This doesn't even seem like he's shilling anything. He's just like, just checking it out, man. Like, hey, yeah, I'll just check it out, give it a gander and see what's going on. And just the Bitcoin Maximalism crowd just freaked out and just railed on him. And I followed that. I think it was like around, it was last month, or a couple months ago. I don't know, whenever. It was pretty recent. And, June. Yeah, it was earlier in June. And, they were just calling him all sorts of names, talking smack and everything like that. And it was pretty interesting. I was like, yeah, man, that's why I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist. And it's called a toxic maxi. And a lot of Bitcoin maximalists even take pride in being what's called a toxic maxi. And it's just, to me, it just seems super intolerant. So anyway, he would consider himself a freedom maximalist. And I like that idea. He says, I'm not a toxic maxi, nor am I even a Bitcoin maximalist. I'm striving to be a sovereign individual, and my highest value is freedom. I am a freedom maximalist. I study and defend ideas of high moral value that maximize the freedom and sovereignty of individuals, and I study and attack ideas of low moral value that minimize the freedom and sovereignty of individuals. So in the end, Bitcoin is about freedom. It's about autonomy, and it's about unshackling yourself from the banking institutions and the credit institutions that are basically doing their best to keep a class-oriented society. Bitcoin is an idea of unparalleled moral value that maximizes individual freedom of billions of people while simultaneously dissolving the existing system that feeds on the individual sovereignty and therefore, by definition, is immoral. As a store of value, Bitcoin is a majestic piece of engineering. In my view, Bitcoin is as close to inevitable as anything man-made has ever been. My deep respect for the innovation of Bitcoin is why I have sacrificed so much time in its service, creating educational material that can help others find the same fascination I have in it. And I agree. I love Bitcoin. I own Bitcoin as the number one asset in my portfolio. It is solid, it is sound, and to me, it's gold. And I'll also try to keep gold too if possible. But as of the time of this writing in June 2021, Bitcoin has become the legal tender of a nation state, El Salvador. Although Bitcoin has a long journey ahead, it has passed far beyond being a defenseless network that must be shepherded by a small group of people who have identified as its sole protectors, most often known as toxic maximalists. Despite what some may believe or need to feel personal value beyond giving its core protocol rule set resistance to compromise, Bitcoin's survival is not dependent on calcified cultural toxicity. Those who unthinkingly spew toxicity for the sake of getting attention or hurting others poison only themselves and their capacity for nuanced critical thinking. Yes, absolutely. Bitcoin maximalism originated as a rebuttal to the attempted disparagement of Bitcoiners as pro-monopolists. It would become a banner beneath which Bitcoiners would unite culturally to reject all projects competitive to Bitcoin, popularly called shitecoins, along with other perceived threats to the protocol. To the extent that it defends the network from trade-offs that could compromise survivability, maximalism serves as a useful function for Bitcoin. Outsiders have referred to Bitcoiner obstinacy as toxic, quote unquote, an adjective the community would eventually absorb with great pride. The important word here is pride, which has three discrete meanings. And this is also, I guess, relevant because June is supposedly, or not supposedly, it is Pride Month. And so, I guess it's an appropriate month to reflect on what the word pride means. A sense of one's own proper, number one, and he breaks it out into three different categories. Number one, a sense of one's own proper dignity of value or self-respect. Number two, pleasure or satisfaction taken in an achievement, possession, or association. Or number three, arrogant or disdainful conduct or treatment or haughtiness. Anyway, to go back up here real quick, he says that Bitcoin started off, it originated as a rebuttal and attempted disparagement of Bitcoiners as pro-monopolists. It's a rebuttal to attempted disparagement. And that's how all this Bitcoin maximalism started off. And that's necessary. When you feel you're being marginalized, you have to pump out your chest a little further and stand tall and be firm and say, no, man, this is too far. You're not going to push me in this corner. Don't put baby in a corner. Anyway, yes, so it is necessary in that circumstance. However, Bitcoin, I think, is grown up. My baby all done grown up. Got to get on with it, move it. And you gotta let the shackles go. Let baby run. So anyway, back to pride. So those three definitions: one, a sense of one's own property, dignity, or value, or self-respect. Two, pleasure or satisfaction in taking an achievement, possession, or association. Three, arrogant or disdainful conduct or treatment, haughtiness. Pride in being toxic was a valuable mentality in the pre-2014 era when Bitcoin was an orphan needing a home. A defenseless network under threat from attack and pride means recognizing one's own proper dignity by proudly defending it. Yes, I agree. After successfully defending the network during the fork wars of 2017, pride reached stage 2, the pleasure or satisfaction taken in an achievement, as the world recognized that Bitcoin had a deeper significance than just being an internet fad. So what's stage 2? Pleasure or satisfaction taken in an achievement. So yeah, you won. You're doing good. And so you take pleasure and satisfaction on that. You want to rest in your laurels, and it is justified because you have just grinded and struggled to get where you are. And I think this can be said for a lot of things going on right now, especially. So yes, take that pride and enjoy it and run with it. As of June 2021, with its long-awaited acceptance by a nation state finally achieved, Bitcoiner pride has shifted to stage 3, arrogant or disdainful conduct. It has morphed into an ideological boastfulness, dare I say it, hubris. And then he makes a little aside about gay pride here, which is, I'm not even going to comment on that. That's just, definitely no issue with that whole side of the fence. You know, that's their deal. But yeah, it, he goes to compare some of that right now with toxic maximalism, and that's where I'm just not gonna venture into. So anyway, let's see here. So Bitcoin still has a strong need to infiltrate the cultural immune system of both the developed and developing world, and the garage punk band philosophy of pride and toxicity is not only damaging to Bitcoin reputation, it is damaging to the underlying thesis upon which Bitcoin is built. Don't trust, verify. Instead of encouraging independent thinking, toxic maximalism has devolved into groupthink, complete with illusions of invulnerability and unanimity. I like how he compares Bitcoin to garage band punk. The garage band punk philosophy of pride and toxicity was needed, I guess, back then when it was first coming out. And I grew up around in the 80s around a lot of punks. My brother had an 18-inch tall mohawk, and wore chains and combat boots. And, I was, hanging around with all his friends, and I was just a little skate punk myself, listening to RKL and Circle Jerks and all types of other bands like that, The Exploited. And yeah, man, I loved punk culture. And in the 80s, you had the government and everything and society being run by severe right-wing, evangelical, Christians. I mean, that to me wasn't necessarily Christians, because whenever you got down to the nitty-gritty of it, you had a lot of these people underneath all that having a completely different lifestyle than what the politically they were espousing. So there was the punk movement and the hardcore left movement inside that punk movement that were reacting against the far right neocon culture. And that was what was happening at the time. And you were punk rock and you were anti-fascist and you all that. Now, and you can see this in Gabriela Garcia Marquez's book, Cien Años de Soledad, 100 Years of Solitude, in which there's also always this political pendulum just swinging back and forth. Well, now the power structures, the institutions have begun rejecting all that far right wing brand of Christianity and have swung completely over to the opposite left and co-opted the whole liberal culture of punk rock, and diversity, all this stuff, and they've co-opted it. And now being punk is in a way being conservative and believing in freedom. And so I still see some of these old punk rockers like Henry Rollins and Jello Biafra and all that stuff, still like hardcore on their, severe leftist ideologies. I'm like, don't you realize that your leftist ideologies have been co-opted by the corporate media? Like, you're no longer punk, bro. You're for the man. So that to me is interesting. Anyway, kind of, I went off on a tangent right there, but he's basically saying Bitcoin still has a strong need to infiltrate the cultural immune system of both the developed and developing world with the garage punk band philosophy of pride and toxicity. It is not only damaging to Bitcoin's reputation, it is damaging to the underlying thesis upon which Bitcoin is built. Don't trust, verify. Instead of encouraging independent thinking, toxic maximalism has devolved into groupthink, complete with illusions of invulnerability and unanimity. All cultures exhibit ideological immune systems, but when ideological possession inhibits critical thinking, cultural autoimmunity becomes pathologized. At this point, toxicity poisons itself as the idea filter attacks even non-adversarial agency, a sepsis that results in the common comparison to an ideological autoimmune disease. So basically, a lot of white blood cells start being made in order to fight off some kind of infection. But when you have way too many of those, then your body starts to have a problem, and it forms a sepsis. And so I mean, you think about this toxicity and this punk rock think and stuff like that. Bitcoin's being adopted by small governments and other cultures that really don't need that type of punk rock toxic mentality that America needed back in the 80s, you know, and they're looking at it, and that their interpretation of it is completely different than what it originally served. And this, you know, Bitcoin maximalism originally served to support this marginalized community, and then now that it has grown up, it no longer needs that toxic mentality, and it's just basically shooting itself in the foot. Now, Robert Breedlove goes on and 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 on, and only the way that Robert Breedlove can. I love the guy. You know, I'm listening right now to his "What Is Money" podcast. I've listened to the one all episodes of Michael Saylor. I've listened to a few episodes of the Jeff Booth one. I'm listening right now to the one with Frisbee. I can't remember his first name, but it is amazing. I love it. But you have to be able to sit down and just listen to it. Either way, he sold his BitClout coins, and he went into a long synopsis of why he sold his BitClout coins. And yeah, you know, okay. And he says that's probably the best way to protest it. Hey, Atile Luno, nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a while, so welcome back. So anyway, yeah, so he said Twitter blocking is his expression of freedom. He blocked a bunch of people, and now he's saying you can message me back if you want me back. Anyway, so that is this article. I wanted to get on to some of these other articles as well. Let's see here. Cryptocurrency war. Bitcoin maximalism versus minimalism. There's two belief systems while looking to achieve the same thing. A new decentralized and digital economy are at odds with one another. So are you a Bitcoin maximalist or a minimalist? In the cryptocurrency industry, Bitcoin is the gold standard. It's the digital asset that preceded all others and has laid the foundation for everything that has come since. For some, Bitcoin is and forever will be the only viable cryptocurrency, but for others, Bitcoin is just the beginning of a burgeoning industry which will continue to evolve. These two belief systems, while looking at this to achieve the same thing, a new decentralized and digital economy, are at odds with one another. So are you a maximalist or a minimalist? Okay, so maximalist. This article, and the reason I'm bringing it up, it brings up some other points that I haven't talked about. No matter, okay, it's maximalist view with any other cryptocurrency, no matter what it is, as disingenuous to the ethos of Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin. Nakamoto created Bitcoin as a form of decentralized peer-to-peer cash that could be used across the globe. Decentralization is the key to Bitcoin's success and usability. The use of semi-permissioned and fully permissioned blockchains completely negates the need for digital currency as seen by maximalists. One of the biggest things maximalists have going for them is the network effect of Bitcoin, which states the network becomes stronger and more valuable the more people use it. It's Metcalfe's law. So because Bitcoin is the oldest and widely most used cryptocurrency, its network is significantly stronger than any of the competitors, and its distance only continues to grow. But Bitcoin has its problems. The amount of power needed to secure the blockchain via its proof of work consensus mechanism is getting out of control. This argument I don't really believe. I don't think it's out of control. I think it is well in control, and the amount of power is inflated and blown up by the FUD and the powers that be wanting to control, regulate, and stop Bitcoin. That's my opinion. The network itself isn't yet scalable to the level where it can facilitate the amount of daily transactions necessary to make it a viable currency. This I can get more on board with. Even further, Bitcoin is limited in its usage and doesn't provide mechanisms for building smart contracts and decentralized applications, which other blockchains are specifically designed to support. And this I can kind of agree with, even though there's block stacks right now, and that's another protocol token being designed, and I think it's currently out, that allows smart contracts to be built on top of Bitcoin. It's still not as efficient. Bitcoin does have some very, very basic smart contract functionality, but it's like trying to create a program on a TI-86 scientific calculator instead of a computer built for building programs. So like a nice Linux-based OS system and stuff like that. Anyway, notable maximalists here are Jameson Lott, Bitcoin NJ, Jimmy Song, and Andreas Antonopoulos, and I'm sure Robert Breedlove is a notable maximalist. Max Kaiser is another one. the most Max Kaiser is probably the most obnoxious Bitcoin maximalist. But on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, there's a large group who feel that while Bitcoin was the spark that ignited the cryptocurrency fire, it's not the end-all be-all of cryptocurrency. If you're a Bitcoin maximalist, you believe that Bitcoin is only the tip of the iceberg for the cryptocurrency industry, and instead of one cryptocurrency ruling the industry, and instead, okay, there will be a whole host of digital assets to provide value in the future. And I believe that, I believe there's a whole array. I believe it is not just the movement of AOL as here. I believe it's the movement of the entire internet. History shows that first movers in technologies don't always last. In the early days of the internet, America Online was the tool the general public used to access the web in early years. At the time, AOL was seen as an innovation beyond belief, and that one that would last forever. Alas, AOL was slowly taken over by better tools and technology, and now today doesn't even exist. Could Bitcoin suffer the same fate? I don't think so. I think Bitcoin is more going to be a store of value and going to be the base on which lots of currencies are built upon. Satoshi Nakamoto publicized the idea of digital currency in his Bitcoin white paper, and showed the world what a cryptocurrency could be, but the uses for this technology have now far exceeded what Satoshi could ever have imagined. Cryptocurrencies can be used in supply chain management, intellectual property, organizational governments, and so much more. However, Bitcoin is not built for these purposes, and now its own industry is surpassing it. This could be argued as more like those industries use blockchain and not necessarily cryptocurrency. And that's also a valid point too, as Bitcoin is a store of gold and stuff like that, a store of value. But I don't know. There are issues that Bitcoin does not solve, such as micropayments and scalability. Satoshi's vision also require a fully decentralized blockchain architecture without pondering the ways that a semi-permission blockchains could actually be more advantageous in many instances. For these reasons, minimalists argue that while Bitcoin is still a good store of value similar to gold, it is nothing more than making it a one-trick pony in an industry filled with other more innovative ideas. Ooh, one-trick pony. I don't think Bitcoin's a one-trick pony. I think Bitcoin has become, in a sense, a religion, and it's become hope. And there's so much more about Bitcoin than it just being a currency right now, and even just being a store of value. Bitcoin is representative of the ideals of sovereignty, of freedom, and that is why a lot of the institutions hate it, because they do not like us to stand up on our feet and push against them, saying we have an alternative. We do not have to follow your rules, and they hate that. Notable minimalists: Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase; Jack Ma, founder of Alibaba; and Vitalik Buterin, founder of Ethereum. I don't think Vitalik's a minimalist. I think that's kind of a generalization for him. I think he likes Bitcoin well enough. Where are we headed? While maximalists and minimalists will continue to battle over viability of Bitcoin, other cryptocurrencies are continuing to prove themselves as viable assets in the digital age. True, I believe that there are lots of other very useful cryptocurrencies. Chainlink is really useful as an oracle. Theta Network is what I'm broadcasting on right now, and I believe that's going to be invaluable in the video streaming industry. And there's just lots of other projects out there that I think are very valuable and will and have their niche and will continue to stay in that niche and build a lot of value because of that. Cryptocurrencies like Ethereum are being embraced by the financial institutions. Yes, Ethereum is going to become a fully institutional cryptocurrency, I believe. And I believe right now where Ethereum is, cryptocurrencies like Solana are going to come and take that gap as Ethereum moves up into the institutional world. So we'll see. While others like Litecoin are showing there's room for industry for more than one form of digital cash. And after all, because gold is valuable as a commodity doesn't mean silver is worthless. True. And copper has a utility as a conductor de electricidad. So there's uses for a lot of different materials. With the corporate world opening up to blockchain solutions, we're trending toward a world where digital assets are the norm in all areas of business. Okay, and I know I'm running long, but it is Sunday morning, and so, hey man, the kids are still asleep. I don't quite have to make breakfast for them yet. So before I go and run off and make breakfast, I want to look at one more article here. Where is it? It is Okay, so this one on Coin Bureau is interesting too. Here they go into a little more detail about the Metcalfe's law. It claims that the value of an investment is proportionate to the square of the number of participants. The more people who use the network, the more valuable it is. Bitcoin maximalists claim that technical innovations that other blockchains are building can easily be built on top of Bitcoin. They could also be built as side chains to the Bitcoin blockchain. Improvements in speed and other features like smart contract functionality can be built in. And like I said before, Bitcoin is not meant for smart contracts, but there are things like block stacks, and I will go over here. Block stacks, I believe, with an X. I think that's how it is. And this is a really interesting project. Okay. Where you at, man? I know the ticker symbol STX is the symbol for block stacks. And now my computer decides it does not want to cooperate with me. Okay, stacks, STX. This is block stacks. This is how you can build smart contracts on top of Bitcoin. So we'll go to stacks.co. That's their website. And yeah, and a better internet built on Bitcoin. It brings DeFi and smart contracts to Bitcoin. So these type of technological advancements can give Bitcoin maxis some hope. And I know they're clutching at Lightning Network like nothing else. They love talking about Lightning Network. I still have yet to see Lightning Network be like extremely useful, but they claim that people in El Salvador are using Lightning Network and everything's going great. So we'll see. Okay, back to Metcalfe's law. If Metcalfe's law is to be believed, it means that the value of a network with certain number of participants is much greater than the value of a series of networks with the same combined networks. And then it goes into the algebra of it. It's not an exact science, but it has been applied in a number of different models that have tried to quantify the network effect from social media to telecommunications. Bitcoin maximalists also view Metcalfe's law in the context of network security and decentralization. So they put a lot of impetus on network security, and the more people that use the network, the more secure the network it will be. And that's true. The more nodes that are on the network, the more decentralized the blockchain becomes, and hence the more secure. It also becomes much more necessary in an era where mining operations are able to control more and more of the network. This is perhaps one of the reasons that Bitcoin maxis are always pushing for users to operate their own independent nodes. There's also the network effect of Bitcoin as a medium of exchange and investment. The more people that trade and use Bitcoin, the more liquid the markets and the more valuable they become to retail investors as an investment. They become less volatile and hence more useful as a medium of exchange. So let's see here. What date was this? This was written back in 2018. So Blockstacks hadn't even been there yet. So here they're talking about development on top of blockchain. Blockstacks is really only been around as of 2020. So this is an old time. And this is right about the time when Robert Breedlove was saying that Bitcoin maximalism was in its prime. It was the most needed right here. And some of the best literature for Bitcoin maximalism came out during this time. And this is when Bitcoin maximalism was between stage 1 and stage 2 of that 3-stage pride stair step that I talked about. So stage 1 is where you have to stand tall in the face of marginalism. Stage 2 was whenever you are standing tall because you're proud of your accomplishments. And stage 3 of pride is basically hubris, and it's toxic. So this is written right about the time between stage 1 and stage 2, more stage 2. Okay, so this is where they were talking about possible side chains that could be pegged to Bitcoin network. I have not seen much in development of this. The closest that I've seen to side chains are the Lightning Network now that opens separate channels, peer-to-peer channels that can do transactions and as many transactions as possible or as they want, and then they close the channel, they're done, and everything gets stamped to the blockchain. So those are peer-to-peer side chains. They were talking about actual side chains with no tokens. And so that's a pretty interesting concept. I'm not going to totally read about all the aspects of it, but it turned out to not really become viable because it has a bunch of limitations and and there's really no way to bootstrap these side chains without tokens because there's no value to that. And yeah, they go into some more details there, but I'm not gonna. Okay, we'll go into some details here. One of the main limitations that exists with sidechain details is there's a lack of a native utility token. It has a number of problems associated with it, which are mostly associated with a lack of incentives. If there were mining rewards that were distributed to the block producer in the sidechain, then this would only be tied to a certain amount of Bitcoin that was in reserve. This would be a fractional reserve system, which is used in traditional fiat money banking. So you can't do mining on sidechains, mining rewards, because then it could just go straight back to the fractional reserve system, which we're trying to get away from. And that's what Bitcoin stands against. In order to get around it, there would have to be a no coin creation, and this would mean that the only incentives for block propagation would be from transaction fees. And the problem with this is that it eliminates the potential to bootstrap the sidechain. So if your only reward for mining on a sidechain is with no coin is transaction fees, and you're using a network that's not really built up enough yet, what's the reason for that? What's the incentive? Unless there's already a bunch of transactions going. So that's kind of a chicken and the egg problem, the catch-22. The block reward was useful in the initial days of Bitcoin when transaction fees were not enough to incentivize miners to actually propagate blocks. Only once there are enough transactions in the ecosystem to justify the marginal costs will a network be able to operate without block rewards. So people say, well, what happens whenever the 21 million blocks of Bitcoin are found and all that stuff, and there's no more mining rewards? Well, by that time, the transaction fees will be able to sustain it if already the transaction fees are able to sustain it, I think. But anyway, the side chains, another big problem is you have to rely on some custodian that will hold the Bitcoin for the side chain participants, and that also goes contrary. If you want to convert your side chain tokens into Bitcoin, you have to request this from the custodian, and the reliance on trust from the custodian can be troubling to those who hate the notion of centralized control. Anyway, many others will focus less on these technical and practical issues as they will on the notion of maximalist approach. These anti-maximalists claim that taking a stance that is unwavering and rigid is ill-advised. They assert there should be no reason other blockchains and cryptocurrencies can't compete with blockchain. The whole idea behind the Bitcoin protocol was that it was driven by verifiable code and not an ideology. As Robert Breedlove was saying, verify that, well, don't trust, verify. Okay, yes, and so that's the whole ideology behind Bitcoin. Don't trust, verify, and that's the ideology behind scientific theory. And a lot of days nowadays, especially in this Rona era, we're tending to forget that we should not trust, we should verify, and instead we're having all these things being shoved on us without the general populace just being told to just trust the science, trust the system. I'm not going to trust science or a system that is based on their own incentives to garner profit. No. So and then the same thing applies here. Don't trust, verify. So when dogmatism takes control, then you have a sepsis of the system. Anyway, that being said, I'm gonna go. I hear the house starting to the natives are getting restless, so I gotta go do my due diligence, and I have to have them change my band-aids on my elbow. I got blue, orange, lavender. How many band-aids I've got on here? Jeez. Little kids love band-aids and they love to take care of their dad. So all right, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Andy Panda and Rich S, thanks for jumping on as well. Had a good little crowd today. I didn't even know if the stream was working this morning when I first jumped on. I will go ahead and upload this to YouTube, BitChute, Odyssey, and I need to catch up on BitTube. I'm running behind. That just takes a little longer on there to upload, so generally I run out of time as I'm trying to get out the door, and I kind of skipped that one. But I'll go back and catch BitTube back up as well. All right, well, I will talk to you guys for episode 188 tomorrow. Yesterday I forgot to update the text and it said it was Friday even though it was Saturday. All right, well, I'll talk to you later. Bye.